Good morning and welcome back to Margin. This morning we're going to talk about budgeting with a zero-based budget approach. So let's jump right into it. So a zero-based budget approach is one that I personally use and one that I typically recommend people who have been budgeting at least for a period of time to utilize as well. So this ensures that you are, again, living within your means, that you are allocating all of the funds that are coming in to those things that matter most to you. But also it looks at more of a granular approach so that you can manage based on row by row, item by item, and you can look at more of a granular approach to making sure that you're not spending money in areas that don't make sense to you to spend money in. So over the last two episodes, we've looked at two different methodologies, two different rules associated to budgeting. The one that I deemed as good was the 80-20 rule, and that focused in on putting 20% to savings, 20% post-tax to savings for the purpose of saving for retirement, building up that rainy day fund, and so on and so forth. And then the remaining 80% is then utilized for all the other expenses, as long as you are living within your means and spending just 100% and no more than that. The second aspect, the second rule came down to the 50-30-20 rule. The 50-30-20 rule also follows the 80-20 rule in putting away 20% for post-tax retirement and savings. How it differs, though, is it looks at 50% of your take-home pay being applied to your needs and 30% being applied to your wants. So it breaks out that 80-20 rule into two categories within that 80% part, and looking at how you can break that out based on your needs and your wants. And so what I want to look at today looks at what I consider the best approach, which is a zero-based budget approach. So what that means is that every dollar has an assignment. It's allocated out. So you are looking at what makes the most sense in your season of life, and you are looking across 11 different categories, which I previously referred to by Ramsey Solutions as a recommendation to allocate costs across. And so with that, we're looking at those 11 categories to break down your expenses into. And so with that, this is something that you'll want to step into as soon as you feel like you are in the rhythm of budgeting on a regular basis, and you have built that plan to spend and built that rhythm of making sure that plan to spend works for you. And so with that, these 11 categories are what I wanted to go into. So the zero-based budget approach goes into these 11 categories. And I'm going to use the same example that I have used for the last two episodes with the family who makes $65,000 per year as a gross income. So with that, as a reminder, with that $65,000 gross income, there is about 70% that is a take-home pay amount for this family in particular. So with that, they are taking home about $3,800 per month. And so that's the net pay amount to their bank account. Now from that stays the same from the other two episodes, from the other two examples. But what changes is the granular level to which each column, each row changes. So each row in regards to the category, and each column in regards to the actual dollar amount. And so with that, when we were going through this process, these are just recommended categories for you. What you'll want to do is look at each area based on what you're spending now and what you want to spend from an aspirational standpoint in the future. And so this will not fit everyone's lifestyle. This will fit this family's lifestyle, and then you can tweak it based on the needs that you have and the wants you have, and how those are broken down into these 11 categories. And so with that, the first category comes down to giving. So giving was outlined at 10%, which is $384. The second category comes down to post-tax retirement savings. Now, this for the 80-20 rule as well as the 50-30-20 rule was set at 20%. Now here in this example, it's sitting at 10%. I would recommend that you bump that up between the 15 and 20% mark, if not more. But for this example, that is $384 again. Now beyond that, housing is then broken down based on mortgage and rent being 25%. And an amount being spent or planned to spend at $961. Now, how this differs is that mortgage, rent, and utilities are broken down in this example, and the costs are slightly higher. So with that, you have water, gas, electricity at 5% and a total cost of $192. So beyond that, we have transportation, which is gas and maintenance. And with that, that is a 10% amount set at, so that's 10% of take-home pay at $384 per month. Beyond that, what you want to look at is food. So food was set out as groceries and restaurants at 10%, which is $384. As you can see, there's some reoccurring themes in regards to the percentage amounts based on the categories, just for simplicity's sake. Now, you may have, a larger percentage going to a different category based on the level of importance you give to that category. Beyond that, you have personal expenses, which may be your cell phone bill, maybe your hair appointment or your subscriptions, and that's sitting at 5%. So that equals $192 for this plan to spend. So with that, beyond that, you'll have 5% for miscellaneous expenses at $192. You have a health expense for your gym and recreation at 5%, which equals $192, as well as insurance at 15% for $576 per month. Now with this example, this family does not have debt, and so they don't have a line item for that. But what you'll want to do is look at how to break out 100% of your take-home pay based on the categories that make the most sense for you. Now, each of these examples give you the opportunity to build in margin. And so what I mean by that is when you are building up your budget and when you are looking through those rows that actually don't add a whole lot of value, and maybe for you, it's this gym and recreation at 5%, and that can be reallocated to a different area, to a different category. But what you want to do is look at this granular approach of those aspects that you're spending money on without necessarily giving it a second thought. And actually giving it a second thought, looking at those aspects that make sense for you to be allocating your expenses to. So with that, these 11 categories are important for you to look at so that you are looking at a zero-based budget approach, which means that everything is allocated out 100% across those categories, and that beyond that, you are looking at a more granular approach so you know what to approach first and you can recognize issues quicker. So which approach works for you? Which one works best for you? The 80-20 rule can work good for those who are just getting started, to get that flywheel going and spinning, to get that compound effect working in your favor. The second aspect is the 50-30-20 rule. Now that has slightly more of a granular approach, but also accomplishes that same goal of getting that flywheel spinning. And you may start one and stay with that tactic, stay with that approach. As long as you're living within your means, you're welcome to do that. but also looking at how you can graduate, how you can grow. And as you saw, I took a good, better, best approach, and the good approach was looking at March of this year. The better approach was April, and the best approach was May. And so my call to action today is to sign up for a free account to help you manage your budget, and then apply one of these principles and figure out which one works for you. If this information is helpful to you, please do like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you're reminded to come back on a daily basis and improve in managing your personal finances. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.